All right, How the Grinch Stole Christmas, 2014. Bless you.
Bless you.
Bless you. Every Who down in Whoville liked Christmas a lot. But the Grinch, who lived just north of Whoville, did not. The Grinch hated Christmas the whole Christmas season. Now, please don't ask why. No one quite knows the reason. It could be, perhaps, that his head wasn't screwed on just right. It could be, perhaps, that his shoes were too tight. But I think the most likely reason of all may have been that his heart was two sizes too small.
I love that part.
All right, sit down, baby. But whatever the reason, his heart or his shoes, he stood there on Christmas Eve hating the Who's, stared down from his cave with a sour, grinchy frown at the warm lighted windows below in their town. For he knew every Who down in Whoville beneath was busy now hanging a... And they're hanging their stockings, he snarled with a sneer. Tomorrow is Christmas! Then he growled with his grinchy fingers nervously drumming. I must find some way to stop Christmas from coming, for tomorrow
he knew.
All the Who girls and boys would wake bright and early. They'd rush for their toys. And then, oh the noise, 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 noise. That's one thing he hated, the...
Noise, 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 noise.
Then the Who's, young and old, would sit down to a feast. And they'd feast and they'd feast and they'd...
Feast, 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 feast.
They would feast on Who pudding and rare Who roast beast, which was something the Grinch could not stand in the least.
Of course.
And then they'd do something he liked least of all. Every Who down in Whoville, the tall and the small, would stand close together with Christmas bells ringing. They'd stand hand in hand and the Who's would start singing. And they'd sing and they'd sing and they'd sing, 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 sing. And the more the Grinch thought of this Who Christmas sing, the more the Grinch thought, I must stop this whole thing. Why, for 53 years I put up with it now. Must stop Christmas from coming, but how? What were they singing, Charlotte?
Stardosaurus, Stardosaurus, welcome Christmas, Christmas Day.
Then he got an idea, an awful idea.
Oh, wait,
The
the
Grinch
Grinch wonderful, awful idea.
I know just what to do. The Grinch laughed in his throat. Then he made a quick Santa Claus hat and a coat. And he chuckled and clucked. What a great Grinchy trick. With this coat and this hat, I'll look just like Saint Nick. All I need is a reindeer. But the Grinch looked around. But since reindeer are scarce, there were none to be found. Did that stop the Grinch? No, the Grinch simply said. If I can't find a reindeer, I'll make one instead. So he called his old dog Max. Then he took some red thread and he tied a big horn to the top of his head. Then he loaded some bags and some old empty sacks on a ramshackle sleigh and he hitched up old Max. Then the Grinch said,
Giddy up.
and the sleigh started down towards the homes where the Who's lay a snooze in their town.
Okay, Shasha, eat the poo.
All their windows were dark, quite snow filled the air. All the Who's were all dreaming sweet dreams without a care. When he came to the first little house on the square, this is stop number one, the old Grinchy Claus hissed. And he climbed up to the roof, empty bags in his fist. Then he slid down the chimney, a rather tight bench, but if Santa can do it, then so could the Grinch. He got stuck only once for a moment or two. Then he stuck his head out, the fireplace flew, where the little Who stockings all hung in a row. These stockings, he grinned, are the first things to go. Then he slithered and slunk with a smile most unpleasant around the whole room, and he took every present. Pop guns, bicycles, roller skates, drums, checkerboard, tricycles, popcorn, and plums. And he stuffed them in bags. Then the Grinch very nimbly stuffed all the bags one by one up the chimney. Then he slunk to the icebox. He took out the Who's feast. He took the Who pudding. He took the roast beef. He cleaned out the icebox as quick as a flash. Why, that Grinch even took their last can of
Who has?
Just sit there for a second.
Then he stuffed all the food up the chimney with glee. And now, grinned the Grinch, I will stuff up the tree.
There's really nothing in our room except the tree.
And the Grinch grabbed the tree and he started to shove when he heard the small sound like the coo of the dove. He turned around fast and he saw a small Who, Little Cindy Lou, who's not more than 2, the Grinch had been caught by this tiny daughter who got out of bed for a cold cup of water. She stared at the Grinch and said,
Santa Claus, why? Why are you taking our Christmas tree? Why?
nailed it.
Can you say it?
What does nailed it mean?
Yeah, she did a good job. Say it, Phoebe.
I need a cold cup of water too.
But you know that gold Grinch was so smart and so slick. He thought up a line, he thought it up quick. You'll get the cold cup of water afterwards. Why, my sweet little top, the fake Santa Claus lied. There's a light on the tree that won't light on one side, so I'm taking it home to my workshop, my dear. I'll fix it up there, and I'll bring it back here. And his fib fooled the child, and he patted her head, and he got her a drink, and he sent her to bed. And when Cindy Lou Who went to bed with her cup, he went to the chimney and stuffed the tree up. Then the last thing he took was the log for their fire, and he went up the chimney himself, the old liar. On their walls he left nothing but hooks and some wire. And the one speck of food that he left in the house was a crumb that was even too small for a mouse. Then he did the same thing to the other whose houses, leaving crumbs much too small for the other whose mouses. It was dawn, and all the Who's still in bed, all the Who's still a snooze. When he packed up his sled, packed it up with their presents, the ribbons, the wrappings, the tags, and the tinsel, the trimmings, the trappings. 3,000 feet up the side of my crumpet, he rode with his load to the tip-top to bump it. Pooh, pooh, to the Who's. He was Grinchiously humming. They're finding out now that no Christmas is coming. They're just waking up. I know just what they'll do. Their mouths will hang open for a minute or two. Then the Who's down in Whoville will all cry, boo-hoo.
Mrs. Claus doesn't have a beard.
That's a noise, groaned the Grinch, that I simply must hear. So he paused, and the Grinch put his hand to his ear. And he did hear an ear rising over the snow. It started in low, and it started to... But the sound wasn't sad. Why? This sound sounded merry. It couldn't be so, but it was merry. Very. He stared at the Whoville. The Grinch popped his eyes. Then he shook. What he saw was a shocking surprise. Every Who down in Whoville, the tall and small, was singing without any presents at all. He hadn't stopped Christmas from coming. It came. Somehow or other, it came just the same.
Oh, Daddy, you're the goodest one.
And the Grinch with his bristly feet ice cold in the snow stood puzzling and puzzling. How could it be so? It came without ribbons. It came without tags. It came without packages, boxes, or bags. Then he puzzled for 3 hours till his puzzler was sore. Then the Grinch thought of something he hadn't before. Maybe Christmas, he thought, doesn't come from a store. Maybe Christmas, perhaps, means a little bit more. And what happened then? Well, in Whoville they say, the Grinch's small heart grew 3 sizes that day. And the minute his heart didn't quite feel so tight, he whizzed with his load through the bright morning light, and he brought it back the toys and the food for the feast, and he himself, the Grinch, carved the roast beast. The end. Thanks for listening.